This week's Parsha is crucial in understanding the character development of our leaders, Yosef and Yehuda, and also the building of the character of our nation for that matter. And if we take a look at the story starting with Yosef, Yosef had a very difficult life. He lost his mother when he was young. He was hated by his brothers, and they were jealous of him so much so that it led to them throwing him into the pit when he was 17 years old, which got him sold into slavery for many years. And then he was accused of a crime he didn't commit and thrown into jail. And much of his life was spent with this feeling of being isolated and alone, and all this time for him left him no doubt self-reflecting and developing who he was as an individual. And we see that in the beginning, when his brothers hated him, there was an element of arrogance, or at least naivete, and not being sensitive to the brothers, because he was the favored one, and giving over the dreams. Maybe it was that he shouldn't have given it over, or maybe he could have done it in a more sensitive manner. Either way, there was something of too much Yosef in him giving over their stories, as opposed to, you see many years later when he gets to Paro, and Paro asks him to interpret the dream, and he explains, it is not me, it is God. And you see the humility, and you see the character transformation. And he went through a lot of pain till he got to that point. It wasn't easy. It was not an easy road for him. And but he made the most of it. He took his situation, and he didn't give up, and he was just straight and right and moral. And it really, it was a long time. It's not easy to not have thrown his hands up at any point in time along that path, and to just say, forget this. And he could have been immoral or corrupt, or at least have gone with his base nature, as most men would have, but he didn't. And that is something huge. And then we look at the story of Yehuda, which was really difficult also. After the brothers threw in the pit and Yosef got sold down, we're told that he went down from there. And some of the Mephoshim say that the brothers held him accountable for what had happened, and he was forced to leave, either because, if the brothers felt that way or he felt that way. Either way, he needed that separation. He was also separated from his family. He left, and he married, and he had 3 sons. And that was a hard life for him also, because we were told his wife passed away, and his first 2 sons, Aaron and Onan, passed away. And then there was a whole debacle where he thought that, where Tamar dressed up, and he thought she was a prostitute, and he slept with her. And unbeknownst to him, later people come and say that, she is pregnant, and he says to burn her at the stake. But right away, when Tamar hints, she says, the person who belongs to these things, the collateral that he left, is the one to blame, and he takes the responsibility right away. And that's amazing. He didn't have all those years even to stop and think and wonder about it. Right away, he took responsibility for his actions. And that's maybe there was reflection. Maybe there was reflection for the episode of what happened to Yosef. But here right away, you see he took the accountability. And through that, he merited to have the descendants that came from these children from Tamar, the twins. One of them is to be the Mashiach. So I think this is really important. In both of these stories, in Yosef and in Yehuda, we're told before the beginning of each story that they went down. It says Yehuda went down right after the story of Yosef, and then it goes back after we finish the story of Yehuda and Tamar. The first thing we're told was that Yosef had gone down. And we see that both of them had this falling, this, I think is really a spiritual and a psychological and a deep falling inside of themselves of, once sometimes something bad happens and you feel like you keep falling and falling and falling, and it just seems like it's just never ending. I think for both of them, those stories went that way with one difficult challenge after another. And yet at the end, they both came through with shining colors, because, you can have a hard life, and people do, and you can make great mistakes, as Yehuda did, and even Yosef, for whatever he might have been responsible for. But if you pick up the lesson and if you learn from it, and if you have that endurance to be able to see it through, and not lose your moral ground, despite the fact that things are difficult, or despite the fact that you might have derailed, if you can get yourself back there, if you can pull yourself up, if you can think about it and think about what your goal in life is and what you really are aiming for. And, they both knew that their family was of prime importance, and they both came back to that at the end of the story. And, this is really what it builds a strong character, is to be able to see through it, to be able to analyze and to say, what's important, what am I trying to get at, and how can I get myself out of this? And, they went through that, and we went through that as a nation. As a nation, we went down to Mitzrayim and suffered horribly, no doubt, through, in the beginning, things that happened or that we took part in. But in the end, it was just difficult. But we managed to come through it, and we managed to be a nation, because we were together in it, and we understood what it is. I think it is to keep your focus on, not just staying alive, but that there's a bigger picture, and that our morals and our values and our family are something that forever bind us, and that we have to just always, no matter what or how difficult it is, try and maintain the higher ground. And if we fall from there, just to try to keep trying to get back there. And in the end, we'll survive, and we'll still be here, and we ended up in our amazing country. Hopefully with Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David from Yehuda on the way to wrap it up, to picture nicely and say, thanks for continuing those links in those chains and having that endurance to see it through. And, hopefully now, after all these years, we can try and still maintain our morals and work on that, and be a light into the nations, and do the best we can, and be able to celebrate in attaining the greatness that was meant for us. Take care. Shabbat Shalom.